Now to the latest in Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro is demanding that his cabinet resign. This is U.S. and Russian foreign officials are meeting in Rome to discuss on the ongoing situation in the country gripped by political strife, blackouts, and allegations of sabotage. Now, RT correspondent John Huddy has been covering this, and he joins us live from our Miami bureau with the latest. Thanks for joining us, John.
Good to be here, Scotty.
Okay, so every day we have an update of what's going on in Venezuela. However, this one truly is something that is shaking because now you have Nicolas Maduro pushing for his cabinet's resignation. What is behind this?
Yeah, well, first of all, we don't know if that's happened, by the way. We're still waiting. I mean, this is a developing story. But news of this, Scotty, just to give you kind of lay the groundwork here, came from Venezuelan Vice President Delcy, who tweeted Sunday that Nicolas Maduro had asked his entire executive cabinet to be relieved from their duties in order to restructure the government, adding that the reorganization is aimed at protecting the government, the fatherland, as she refers to the Venezuelan government. And she goes on to say, from any threat. And this, of course, comes as Venezuela is still reeling, and you mentioned this in the intro, from widespread blackouts that have thrown the country literally into darkness and further exacerbating, really, the overall political crisis ongoing there in the country, and one that Maduro suggested could be the result of high-tech cyber warfare in regards to these blackouts, a cyber warfare attack by the United States, and/or, he said, electromagnetic attacks by infiltrators attacking the power grid from within the electrical company. Those are his words. So far, there's no direct evidence of that, just the ongoing speculation and accusations. What is likely is that the massive power failure, according to various experts and engineers both within Venezuela and outside of the country, is the result of years of underinvestment in the country's power grid and power plants and lack of maintenance. But, you know, that said, Scotty, over the weekend, there were dueling rallies in Venezuela, both for and against the Maduro government. Thousands of Maduro supporters marched through Caracas on Saturday, while another massive opposition rally with Juan Guaido was held in the city of Valencia, just outside of Caracas. Guaido is on a tour through Venezuela at this point to garner more support, if you will. He also maintains that the opposition is not going to stop until the Maduro government, he says, is replaced, and blame the ongoing power problems not on infiltration or sabotage, but poor maintenance and lack thereof, Scotty.
Well, U.S. and Russian officials have decided to meet in Rome. What do you think could be expected from that?
Well, the U.S.'s Special Representative to Venezuela, Elliot Abrams, is on the ground right now, is our understanding, in Rome. He's meeting with Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov Tuesday or tomorrow in Rome. Ryabkov said the positions of Moscow and Washington are diametrically opposed. Those are his words. He said on the question of how to encourage negotiations really between the Venezuelan government and the opposition, but that there's no reason the U.S. and Russia shouldn't address the question and talk about it. Ryabkov also said, according to various reports, that, quote, we will do everything to protect our cooperation with Caracas, and that Russia will, again, these are his words, warn the U.S. against using force and other forms of unlawful pressure on the legitimate government in Caracas. Remember, keep in mind that Abrams said that all options remain on the table, something repeated by members of the Trump administration, including, as we've heard, National Security Advisor John Bolton and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in regards to the situation in Venezuela and with Maduro's regime. But there's agreement, Scotty, that military intervention would really be the worst-case scenario and unadvisable, whether it's by the United States or another country. Now, having said all that, there are also new questions, and this is a story that we're following, about how to handle Venezuela immigrants seeking asylum in the United States, including many here in Florida. Remember, President Trump and Elliot Abrams have both advocated for granting emergency asylum for more than 70,000 Venezuelans here in the U.S., so they don't have to return to Venezuela, obviously against their will. But the White House National Security Council is wrangling with how to provide such immigration relief with the Trump administration's own immigration crackdown on refugees and asylum seekers. So there's that dichotomy right now ongoing within the Trump administration, Scotty.
Well, it's definitely getting complicated, but I have to say, at least they're having conversation. The U.S. and Russia is having a conversation, and both can agree that it's not best to see action on the ground by the two countries. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
My pleasure.